Welcome to the third module in our mini course, An Introduction to Preparing to Parent an Adopted Child. This module is titled The First Year, Building a Strong Foundation. The professional coaches of Growing Intentional Families Together are pleased to present this third module in our course titled An Introduction to Preparing to Parent an Adopted Child. We know that it will help you to increase your understanding of adoption-attuned parenting, and we are so glad that you decided to join us. Hello, it's Gail Swift again. I trust that Modules 1 and 2 have taught you a great deal of practical information about adoptive parenting that will help you meet the needs of your adopted children better. It's my pleasure to walk you through this third module titled The First Year, Building a Strong Foundation. As you probably remember, I'm a coach, author, adoptee rights activist, and an adoptive mom. Each of these roles blends to inform the knowledge I will be sharing with you. Now let's get started. As the day when you will bring your child home approaches, take a moment to conjure a clear picture of how you will structure your first day together as a family. Be mindful that at this point, you will be strangers to him. While you feel unparalleled delight, he will feel anxiety. While you feel at ease and at home, everything will be new and unfamiliar to him. He will likely feel overwhelmed. This is regardless of their age, true whether they are an infant, a toddler, or older. On this first day together as a family, be guided by empathy. Make choices that serve your child's best interest. Specifically plan how you will create a calm, soothing environment for him. Limit the number of people who will be present. Fewer people translates into fewer strangers and less stress for your child. In Module 1, we promise to take a deeper look at adoption attunement. Let's think about how this approach can help you connect with your child. We've all heard people say, "Oh, if only there were a handbook." Well, when it comes to handling the unique challenges of adoptive parenting, we've created the next best thing: adoption attunement practices. Here's the entire list. While we will not be addressing these points item by item in this presentation, we do want to highlight the core presuppositions on which they are based. Number 1, use a child-centric approach to parenting. Number 2, accept the hard realities of adoption. Number 3, learn and implement essential knowledge about adoption complexity. And number 4, parents acknowledge and address their own adoption-connected issues. If you are interested in a deeper understanding of these important principles, check out our on-demand courses on this and other topics. They are listed on our website. As you think about becoming a family, part of that process will include how others will welcome your child. In Module 2, we mentioned that adoptive families live both in the safe harbor of home and also out in the wider world. You will not have as much ability to control how people will treat your children outside of your home. One of those hard adoption-connected realities is that sometimes it's not strangers, but rather members of your own extended family who treat your children differently from their other biological relatives. You may be inclined to overlook this initially because you realize it takes time to grow the bonds of affection. Yes, it makes sense to allow them the grace of time to build a connection with your little one. Still, talk with them about what you are noticing. Educate them about how adoptees are especially sensitive to rejection. You have to be the champion for your child. Make clear that you expect them to fully welcome your child into the family. However, for some people, your child may always remain an outsider. You might immediately be thinking, "Not my family." Actually, we've seen children relegated to outsider status in families. It does happen, often, and to varying degrees. Some of us actually had to deal with it in our own families. You probably wonder how a lack of welcome might look. Sometimes it shows up subtly, and you might be tempted to not make a big deal when grandparents give nicer presents to their biological grandchildren or schedule special activities only with biological grandchildren. Sometimes it is they're omitting your children from family photos. Perhaps one of your siblings might refer to your child as my adopted niece, always appending that qualifier. This will cause your child to feel othered, like an outsider who doesn't really belong and isn't fully accepted. In some families, adopted grandchildren are intentionally denied rights of inheritance. The message is clear: your kids are not real family. If you notice these disparities, address them sooner rather than later. Your child needs you to smooth his way to growing rooted into your family. He needs to know that you are in his corner. Again, help educate your family so that they become well-informed, loving allies for you and your child. Next, we'll look at how a sense of community is an important part of feeling welcomed and for our children to feel as if they truly belong. Research has proved that connection is life-affirming and life-sustaining for infants and children. Babies who receive insufficient connection will fail to thrive. If the lack of connection is extreme, the infant will die. When connection is absent, the human brain tells us we are in danger, life or death level of danger. This is particularly true for our children because they have experienced the loss of their first family. Of course, in many ways, adoptive parenting and bioparenting are similar. It is also true that adoption creates some significant differences. We must look to other adoptive families to find people who share and understand these same unique experiences and challenges. It is from these kindred spirits who are walking the same journey that we adoptive parents and adopted children find community. Shared experience is very affirming. Only another adoptive parent can really appreciate the complexity, challenges, and rewards of honoring an open adoption agreement. Only another adoptee can appreciate all of the dimensions of the adoptee experience. They are the experts, not us. When we find our people, those who are part of our adoption community, we feel an empathy and understanding. They get what we are going through. Their empathy comes from lived experience, not academic learning or something someone told them. Community provides a healing sense of being seen or heard that can sustain us through the difficult times and magnify the joys of the good times. Community alleviates the feeling of aloneness and offers the balm of belonging. So seek out community for you and your kids. Find these folks now and enjoy walking with others who also share a similar life journey. You will all benefit. Now, let's look at some of the many feelings you might be experiencing individually and as new parents. As you anticipate becoming a parent to an adopted child, you probably feel butterflies of excitement and joy. Perhaps you also feel a tiny shiver of doubt or fear. Questions might dart through your mind. For example, am I up to the task? Can I truly love a child not born to me? Will I fall in love immediately? Or will it take time? Have we learned enough? Such thoughts are normal. They show that you are aware and ready to do the hard work of becoming an informed and competent adoptive parent. In this introductory course, we've explored how adoptive parenting differs from parenting a child born to you and why this distinction matters. While it is essential to be mindful of the additional tasks and responsibilities that adoption brings, It's also important to truly see and feel yourselves as your child's parents. Own it with the same degree of conviction that you bring to acknowledging and honoring the complex realities of adoption. It's also important for you and your partner, if you have one, to clarify and define your family values. Let's look at those next. When it comes to values, it's important to ensure that you have more in common than just the word. Define those values, especially how they will look in action. Determine if you have any conflicting values. If so, come to a point of commonality. Your core values will guide all of your parenting decisions and actions. Your children will learn them by watching you live them out. Many of the families we coach frame and post their family values, someplace where the family can regularly see them as a silent reminder. Some families also put their values list to music and turn it into a family cheer. For example, everywhere we go, people want to know who we are, so we tell them we are the Smiths, mighty, mighty Smiths. Pardon my singing, but you get the idea, right? You could also base it on a familiar tune and turn it into a song instead of a chant. Whether you opt for a cheer or a song, your little one will enjoy it and it will help them to really embed your family's values in their minds. Here's another tip. Whenever you observe your children living and exemplifying one of your family values, let them know you saw their behavior and that you were glad to see it. Of course, you don't need to create a singing version. However, I can tell you from personal experience, little ones love singing their family song. And in the process, the words and the values they represent become ingrained in their hearts and minds. Give it a try. In addition to teaching your core values to your children, you also want to nurture attachment and connection. Let's look at that next. As you eagerly anticipate bringing your child home, you probably look forward to growing a loving, reciprocal attachment connection with them. How can you help that happen? It's actually a well-researched process. Attachment is built through repeated cycles of your child expressing a need and you, as the parent, meeting the need promptly, effectively, and attentively. Spend time gazing into your child's eyes. Those are precious intimacy-building moments. Both you and he will experience a rush of hormones that support the bonding and attachment process. For example, your baby cries. You respond by checking to see if they need a diaper change, are hungry, cold, frightened, in pain, lonely, or are seeking connection for any other reason. Through many serve and return interactions, your child will come to know that he can rely on you to meet his needs promptly and with kindness and affection. Resist the well-meaning yet misplaced advice that will tell you to let your little one cry it out. This is not the time to insist that he self-soothe. This is a time when he is learning to accept you as a trustworthy caretaker and as a source of his security. And most importantly, it is how he will grow to see you as his family, someone he can trust. Because his bonds with his first family have been severed, it will require more frequent plays of the call and return cycle to soothe him and to encourage his emerging connection to you. Sadly, sometimes the attachment process is compromised. To help prevent that, be consistent and intentional in meeting your child's needs. To learn more about attachment styles, check out the Attachment Project listed on the reference slide. Some families celebrate the day their child arrived in their family every year, like an extra birthday, with a special family meal and a small present. Some families choose to host a party. Keep in mind, however, that although he may feel excited about getting older and eager to be the center of attention, your child will likely have contradictory emotions about his arrival day. For example, sadness, grief, rejection, anger, and feelings about losing his birth mother. These conflicting emotions do not cancel each other out. They coexist like many other emotions connected to being adopted. So it's not surprising that many adopted children find it difficult to manage this tangle of emotions around their birthday and arrival day. And if your child joined your family on the same day he was removed from his first family, his conflicted feelings will be magnified. Because of this emotional duality, some children do not enjoy having their arrival day commemorated, and they do not want or enjoy a party. If parents insist on a party, the child may not be able to hold it together, even if the celebration is small. The ways adopted children address this emotional complexity varies. Talk with your child about it. Ask them if they are thinking about their birth family and birth parents. Many families find it helps to develop a ritual like lighting a candle or saying a prayer about absent family members. Some children prefer privacy on these emotionally laden days and time to feel all of their mixed emotions, while other children do enjoy commemorating the day in a small family-only gathering. Ask your child what he prefers. Of course, his feelings and opinions will evolve over time as he begins to grasp all of the ramifications of being adopted. So check in with your child every time. Decide each year together how you want to mark the day. Remember, language matters here. We have also heard the term gotcha day used to mark your child's arrival day and believe it is an unfortunate term because it focuses on the parent's acquisition of the child like a possession or a present. However you choose to mark the day, we do recommend not calling it gotcha day. As we demonstrated on the previous slide, language matters. During this first year as a family, your awareness of language will probably be more narrow than in future years. One of the most common and earliest ways that language will matter will likely be connected to the word real. People will inevitably ask you about your child's real parents, or if you have any real children of your own. This can feel off-putting when you are engaged in full-throttle parenting, nighttime feedings, diaper changes, and exhausted efforts to soothe your very real child. You might be tempted to snap, "I am the real parent, and he is my real child." However, try a different tack. See it as a teachable moment. Provide them appropriate language that will enable them to clarify to which person they are referring. For example, when they ask about his real family or real mother, you understand that they probably mean your child's birth or first mother. So teach them the appropriate vocabulary to use moving forward. You will have many opportunities to educate folks on adoption language. For example, if they ask why his birth mother didn't want him, set them straight. She planned an adoption not to give him away, but to provide for him. In addition to teaching people which words to use, you will also want to be assertive about how they speak. For example, insist that they speak respectfully about your child's birth relatives. Before you know it, your child will be able to understand the words they speak, as well as to feel the emotions they evoke. So keep in mind, when people disparage birth relatives, they also disparage part of your child. As surely as the caterpillar morphs into a butterfly, adoption brings strangers together and makes you family. Adoption is a process of getting to know, love, and accept one another. The more authentically you come to know one another, the fuller your mutual love will become. In his book, Caring Enough to Hear and Be Heard, David Augsburger wrote, "Being heard is so close to being loved that for the average person, they are almost indistinguishable." So watch and listen with an open heart as your child gradually reveals their unique and glorious selves. Leslie Booker, in her presentation, Embodying Radical Presence of Race, Culture, and Self in Healing Trauma, asserted that the simple act of acknowledging that something has happened is an act of love and care. Let's close with a quote from the classic childhood book, The Velveteen Rabbit. Quote, "Real isn't how you are made. It's a thing that happens to you when a child loves you for a long, long time, not just to play with, but really loves you. Then you become real." Let's recast this quote and say, when you love a child for a long, long time, not just to play with, but really love them, treasure their similarities to you as well as the differences, then you become a real parent. Once again, we will hear some insights from our colleague, Sharon Butler Obaze. As we mentioned earlier, Sharon is an adult adoptee. Although she can't speak for every adoptee, her insights offer a unique and valuable perspective. Sharon says that becoming a parent requires many skill sets that you can manage easily because they're based on your characteristics and ideas about yourself and your behaviors. What happens, though, when you are faced with the behaviors of an adoptee? How will you handle interests your child may have that are foreign to you? Sharon says her parents ignored her talents and strengths. They had fixed ideas for their family priorities, activities, and interests. Even though these were contrary to Sharon's preferences, her participation was still required. This created disconnection instead of attunement. Sharon reminds us that adoptees bring their own interests and aptitudes that are encoded in their DNA, and they are often expressed in their activity choices and behavior. She suggests that adoptive parents begin their observations early because a child's talents and interests will start to appear within the first year. She recommends that you be intentional about looking for and recognizing your child's strengths. Track their behavior and interests through journaling or scrapbooking so that you can appreciate the progress that they make. It will also provide visual proof to your child that you value their talents and interests, whether or not you share them, simply because it's important to them. This will give them the grace of validation. Note your ideas about how to help them develop their talents. Once they're old enough, encourage them to share their particular talent at home, school, or community. Intentionally share special time with them pursuing that activity that they naturally enjoy. And as they mature, remember that your child's answers and choices are right for him or her, even if they differ from yours. Be sure to listen and affirm them because each conversation is an opportunity to learn more about your adoptee. Here are some insights from our colleague, Coach Kim Noeth. She's a birth mother. Although she can't speak for every birth mother, her insights offer a unique and valuable perspective. Kim is a mother many times over, and she wanted to share these thoughts with adoptive parents. She suggests that you lovingly remind yourselves that this is a new relationship you are stepping into. You are about to embark on an ambiguous journey. Whether biological or adoptive, parenting is unpredictable, and nobody has all the answers. Shielding children from their origins and life's uncertainties only fosters unrealistic expectations. Instead, provide love, support, boundaries, and safety while also acknowledging the unique dynamics of adoption. The best parents approach the journey with humility, curiosity, and a commitment to a child's well-being, understanding that it's a shared experience and a beautiful part of the human journey. We invite you to reach out for individual coaching. If you want someone to walk along with you through the steps of the adoption process, or if you want to learn in greater detail how you can best prepare for adoptive parenting, or if you are already parenting and think you would benefit from personalized support. Reach out and call us. Click on these links to access additional information referenced in this module. This course was created by Growing Intentional Families Together, LLC. The information provided is not intended as medical, therapeutic, or legal advice. This presentation may not be shared or broadcasted without written permission. Address inquiries to us at adoptioncoach@giftfamilyservices.com. Thank you for listening. Remember, adoption-tuned parenting helps grow happier, healthier adoptive families. Please check out our website for more courses and resources at giftfamilyservices.com. Thank you.